Welcome back to the league that means nothing on Go Again Gaming.
So hello, welcome back to Go Again Gaming for the league that means absolutely nothing. I am your caster for today, as well as the editor of these videos and the organiser of the entire initiative. I just thought I would cast this one because Kale Brenzy and Andrew Mason have been people that I've known in this game for years now at this point. Kale is a real Runeblade stan, even having likenesses to the hero that they're playing, which is Florian. Just absolutely loves Runeblades, has always loved Runeblades, an absolute scion for Sutcliffe himself. And Andrew Mason has always loved Mechanologist as well. I sort of, on my fab journey, Andrew Mason has always been a Mechanologist player. Has dabbled with other things in the past as well, and has played in a lot of these leagues. Both of these players have played in a lot of these leagues now. So they're absolute stalwarts of the casual game, of the league that means nothing. So Andrew's going to be piloting Puffin, and Florian is going to be... Florian is going to be piloting Florian, because Kale is Florian, basically. So before we go into the gameplay, let's hear a message from one of our sponsors.
This game, A League That Means Nothing, is brought to you by FLUKE and Box.com, the premier international source for all Flesh and Blood singles and rip and ship box breaks, with super competitive shipping prices as well, all of which is priced in your local currency on the website for your convenience. Head over to flukeandbox.com and make sure you go and subscribe to Fluke and Box on YouTube as well. Exclusive to the League That Means Nothing, we also have a discount code. That's TLTMN for 15% off your order on flukeandbox.com. That's one use per customer, so make sure you use it. That's discount code TLTMN for 15% off your order on flukeandbox.com. Have a good day, mate. Wallabies.
So here we go. Kale versus Andrew. Kale is starting off with just a little bit of filtering here, getting that grasp of the Arknight going, creating a rune chant, setting up, oh maybe not setting up, going in with the Dread Scythe immediately, coming in for 3 1-on-1, choosing to pitch everything away. This hand looking a little bit clunky, so the Dread Scythe coupled with the Grasp of the Arknight, just little starts in play, filtering options, and Andrew staring down 3 1-1, because obviously when Dread Scythe attacks it deals 1 arcane damage to the defending hero, so Andrew is staring down 3 sources of damage here, so we are going to be pitching 1 into the AB for the Dread Scythe ping. Still staring down 3 and 1 on this first turn. Looks like we are going to be blocking with a Prismatic Leyline, which obviously is a good card, especially in decks that have a lot of different colours. And then we still do have the 1 ping from either the Rune Chant or the Dread Scythe, however these players have decided to order it. But there is still 1 arcane flying into Andrew Mason's face right now as well in this turn 0. And we are getting rid of the Cogworks Zeppelin there. And that is the turn. Both players taking the opportunity to filter some cards on that first turn. Over to Andrew, who's going to draw 3, and Kale is going to draw 4. Andrew starting with that Tunic resource, energy counter, not getting the resource just yet. Both players just taking a moment to establish their own life totals for their own accountability. Andrew's got that lovely Fab counter app up though, make sure you download that, that's one of the sponsors of the season. But Andrew's just going to play out this Copper Cog, which is going to crank, so he's going to get the action point back for this, essentially acting as a go again, because obviously this doesn't have go again itself. And now he's going to be coming in with a Sky Skimmer, absolute limited all-star, coming in for 4, but obviously Andrew can tap that copper cog that he's just played to either give this +1 or go again. So depending on what the hand composition is like, depending on what the follow-up might be, we can either go wide or go a little bit taller, depending on how we want to utilise the turn. But coming in for 4 currently, obviously the once per turn instant ability is tap that cog to give it +1 or go again, and we are seeing a double block here with a Summer's Fall and a Cadaverous Tilling. So that's a full cover, but we are going to see the cog be tapped at instant speed to probably give this go again. There's 2 cards in hand, yep, and then we're just going to follow up with another Sky Skimmer for 4. And obviously we can't tap any other cogs this turn, so this is just coming in 4/4. I think Andrew will be happy with that turn by the look of it, just being able to leak a little bit of damage, establish an arsenal, and establish a cog on field as well. Yep, so Kale is just going to take 2. So Andrew is going to have a cog lying around at the start of his next turn. Copper cogs just staying around a little bit longer than the golden cogs. The golden cogs are worth more, but the copper cogs are just more robust, stand the test of time, and Kale, talking of standing the test of time, is just going to establish an aura which is going to tick down over the course of the game whenever Kale attacks to get rune chants. So obviously a nice little rune chant generator there, rune chant engine. Obviously this is a very, very important card for a lot of rune blades, if not all of them. And that's pretty much it. We are going to see Andrew ticking up the tunic, removing a copper cog steam counter. This is the good thing about these mechanologist decks with all these counters, and Runeblade decks as well, like Vinset. You have a lot of start of the turn triggers, so it just gets you into the habit of removing counters and adding counters to your tunic as well, more importantly. But we are going to see a cog in the machine. So this is going to come in with 2 golden cog tokens. And obviously the cog in the machine does not have go again. So need to crank at least one of them to get that action point back. And obviously we can tap a cog we control as well to put this card on the bottom of the owner's deck as well, which is also a good little recursion engine tool, which Andrew does have access to. It looks like we are going to be cranking both of them and putting this cog in the machine back on the bottom of the deck, which is pretty cool. And obviously because we've cranked twice, we are going to be able to draw a card with Puffin as well, which is pretty cool. That's what Andrew's gesturing to now. So we have 2 action points available to us. Because obviously the cog in the machine does not have go again, but we have replaced it with 2 action points, which is pretty nice. It's quite hard sometimes to figure out how many action points you have left, especially if you're refreshing the action points with go again and all that sort of nonsense. So fair play to all of the mechanologist players that have been manipulating action points for decades. Well, not a decade yet, nearly, right? We had the 5th year anniversary recently, so let's see if we're still around for the decade celebration. Probably. We are just going to come in with a CNC. CNC with an action point left behind it is always a scary proposition. Coming in for 6, only vanilla damage at this point because it's not threatening any arsenals. So just a vanilla 6, which is going to consume 1 action point. So Puffin still does have a follow-up after this if she so chooses. Could be a Spitfire attack. Obviously we got the 2 cogs there to fuel that to its best capabilities. And Kale, recognising this as a vanilla 6, is just going to take the 6 damage to the face here. No arsenal blow up. And then we will be using the Spitfire. Yeah, so we're going to tap a cog we control to attack with it, and obviously we can tap an additional cog to give it +1. So this is going to be coming in for 2 at the moment, but it's going to be 3. There we go. Make the use of those cogs, of course. Coming in for 3. And if you've got those cogs in play and you're able to attack with Spitfire, I think it just becomes one of the best weapons ever, right? Just costs nothing to attack with as long as you've got the cogs in play to fuel it. But Rune Blood Incantation blocking for 2 is going to leak 1 over the top, so Kale going down to 31. Going into Kale's turn, there is a 9 life gap between the 2 players. Of course, Andrew does have the Poly Cranker as well, another thing that's going to come into play at some point. That pesky little parrot. But Kale responding with a Command and Conquer of their own here. Coming in for 6. And creating a rune chant on the back end, which is pretty good. And obviously Kale's CNC is threatening the full value because Andrew's just put something in the arsenal there. But Andrew just calling it as well, taking the 6 damage to the face and discarding a Soup Up. Now Soup Up's a great card in Puffin because there's a lot of items will destroy themselves at the start of your turn, so it just means that that text of go again is that 0 for 4 go again is always turned on most of the time. So I actually spoiled that card, Soup Up, and did a pretty good job of that video as well, if I remember correctly. But it's nice to see that card getting some play now in this new Mechanologist. But yeah, a lot of items did leave the field that turn, so that Soup Up was well timed to be destroyed there. But we are going to see another cog in the machine. Andrew just cranking himself senseless as he creates these golden cog tokens. So obviously he's going to have 2 floating there from that blue Goldwing turbine pitched. And he's going to be cranking 2 cogs into play, I imagine, to get 2 action points. Nice. Obviously drawing a card off of that as well. And we are going to tap one of those cogs to put the cog in the machine back into the deck. It's nice to see Puffin doing some Puffin things. There hasn't been much constructed coverage of this hero, so it's nice to see that I can obviously bring that to you in the league that means absolutely nothing. But yeah, the cog in the machine is back on the bottom of the deck. Andrew still has 2 action points to play with here as he comes in with a Soup Up, which is turned on because of the items or the other cogs leaving at the start of the turn. So this is going to replace the action point, or it should do. It should replace the action point at least. So we should still have 2 action points remaining after this, or 1 extra action point basically. I think that's how Andrew is representing that on the board right now, because obviously this does have go again. So a nice little 0 for 4. And obviously Soup Up is good on the defense as well, because obviously you're going to have a lot of cogs lying around, so it just allows you to defend quite effectively as well, which is nice. Blocking with Birthday Cake, just going to be taking 1 Birthday Cake, aka 9th Blade of the Blood Oath. It's definitely one of Kale's favourite cards. The Scion of Lord Sutcliffe is Kale. And now we are seeing the Goldwing Turbine being played. So next Mechanologist attack, going to get +3. We're going to be able to create a golden cog token as well. Now this doesn't have go again, so we are going to need to crank. We're not going to need to crank that, so we've got 1 left. So we've got 1 action point left over now, right? Because obviously the Goldwing Turbine doesn't have go again. So we need to use that action point that we've got, and we've still got 1 action point left. I think that's correct. So that action point on Puffin should be gone now, right? At least I think so. I mean, these action points are quite hard to track sometimes, so leave a comment in the section below. There we go. There's the action point. Oh. Yeah, so this should be the last action point, I think. It's getting a little bit confusing here, but I think this should be the last action point. But Cogworks Dovetail does read that obviously you can tap your cogs to give it +1 or go again. So depending on what happens here, the action point's probably going to be refreshed anyway. I think I'm following along with this correctly, and I even edited this video, so sometimes it's hard to follow along. But coming in for 5 here with this Cogworks Dovetail. If this hits, Andrew does get to untap all cogs as well, which is pretty good. So if Andrew does give this go again, we can then come in with the Spitfire as well, which is pretty good. So yeah, we are blocking for 3 on this Amplify the Arcanite, so we are going to be tapping the Cogworks Dovetail to bring it up to 6. And then we're going to be tapping it to give it go again as well, I imagine. Tapping it to... oh. Tapping to give it an extra power, so it's coming in for 7. So Claire is going to take 4 damage here. Yeah, so I think this should be go again rather than the 7, right? So he untaps all the cogs he controls, but I think that's the last of the action points. Because now clearly he wants to swing with the Spitfire, but there's no action points left, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think that action point should have been there. But regardless, he could have been able to do it anyway, because he just could have given the Cogworks Dovetail go again. So I think there's just 1 extra value there that he's got from the +1. But luckily the league means absolutely nothing, and I could be wrong anyway. These new constructed decks are quite hard to follow sometimes, and obviously Andrew is definitely more of a mechanologist player than me, so I'm sure maybe it's just me getting it wrong there. But leave a comment in the section below as to what you saw there. But hey ho, this league means nothing anyway. And Andrew is just going to draw up. And now we are seeing a plough under coming in. Sadly, not going to be utilised for its full value here. So there's not 4 or more Earth cards in the Banished Zone, but we are going to get that first Decompose trigger, which is what Kale has not been able to do so far, is to start decomposing. So we are going to fill the yard a little bit, and this plough under is coming in for 2 and 1. 2 physical and 1 rune chant, and we should be creating a rune chant on the back end as well through the Malefic. So hopefully that gets picked up soon as well. But Andrew has seen a lot of the engine early on here, 2 cog in the machines, and Andrew is just going to take that 3 damage to the face. I'm just remembering that the Malefic should have ticked down there as well, so obviously we're going to get a rune chant on the back end, which is fine. And that looks like Kale's turn is over. Drawing up to 4 and passing back over to the Team Turd member. Obviously a counter is going to come off the golden cog, and then the other 2 are going to go away. So rightly so, Andrew choosing to keep around the Marvel version rather than the Team Turd token, or the Team Turd sleeve. Going into Andrew's turn now with a Soup Up, which again has been turned on because of the 2 other cogs leaving the field this turn. So 4 go again coming in here. Seen a lot of full powered Soup Ups so far this game. Both of them that we've seen have been turned on through the item destruction. Nice to see that spoiler card that I managed to to spoil come into play here on the league that means absolutely nothing on Going and Gaming. Kale staring down a 4 with Go Again, knowing full well there is something still coming after this, coming down to 19 life. 31 still playing 19 here, and we are going to see a copper cog get established. Looking like we are going to crank that one, because it would come in with 2 otherwise, and then we are going to bring the parrot into play. The poly cranker is here. Don't know what that was, but we are going to be cranking the poly cranker, which allows us to get the Puffin ability of drawing an extra card, maintaining our action point here. To play a Palantir Aeronaut. Okay, this is a big attack coming in. For 6 initially, but thrice per turn you can tap a cog you control and give it +1. So Unicycle is in play here. So we've only got 2 cogs, but we can untap one of them and tap it again to turn on the Palantir's effect. Obviously Kale does have to block with one of their pieces of equipment here, so this is going to force one of those equipments out. And the Palantir is able to be utilised for its full power here. This is one of those decisions that you have to make as a Puffin player, is when to utilise the Unicycle. Now Kale also has to think about the poly cranker as well, the fact that this parrot is just going to be able to keep giving Andrew that one source of crank that he needs each turn to potentially just utilise that Puffin ability more consistently, which is pretty good. That's what Andrew is explaining now by the looks of it. But Kale can kill the parrot if needed. Although I think the animal welfare might come after him a bit if he does that. But it's the choices we need to make in these flesh and blood imaginary games. We are going to see the well-grounded being chucked under the Palantir Aeronaut here. Now it's just a decision as to whether we want to tap our cogs to give extra damage. Now it makes sense to tap as many as you can here, because obviously you need to utilise them while they're in play, but it just depends on whether they want to use the Unicycle to get the Palantir's value. That's one of the big crucial decisions. I think probably in this particular scenario, I'm not sure whether Andrew wants to use that Unicycle here or not. But yeah, that's one of the many decisions that you have available to you, because you might not have that many cogs out when another Palantir comes around, do you know what I mean? So it's hard to decide whether you want to cash in that Unicycle now or whether you try and do it later, because you do really want to try and get that Palantir value out when you can. But we are seeing one of the cogs being used to buff it up to 7. We're seeing another cog being used to buff it up to 8. Are we going to see the Unicycle play here? It's going to be able to destroy one of those cards. Destroying the well-grounded? Is that something that Andrew wants to do? Is destroy the well-grounded? Is that worth destroying? We are seeing the first root-bound carapace, which is obviously one of the best defensive tools that Earth Heroes have available to them. So the Palantir can still destroy that well-grounded if he wants to try and get over the top a little bit. As an instant, we are going to be destroying that well grounded anyway, so it doesn't make sense to destroy that. I could not remember what well grounded did until my editing person in the past, which was definitely me. I edit every single one of these games, flashed it up, so I didn't remember what well grounded did until I did that. So there we go. It's not worth destroying that well grounded, not worth using that unicycle, but still drawing a lot of cards from Kale there as Andrew arsenals and passes. So it's over to Kale now. 19 playing 31. So we decide how to craft this attack. It's just going to be a Dread Scythe pitching a truce. Okay. So going back to 3, 1 and 1 here. 3, 1 and 1 coming in at Andrew. Lots of little annoying pings to deal with. And obviously if any damage from Dread Scythe goes through, even including the arcane that it spews out, Andrew is not going to be able to gain life next turn. We haven't seen any life gain so far, so I doubt that really bothers him at all. But it's just one thing to note. But it looks like Andrew is gesturing at the parrot, so one of these attacks could actually be coming in at the parrot. And I think the players are just discussing whether that arcane damage from Dread Scythe can be used to fling at Polycranker, which it can't, unfortunately. I think that's what they're discussing right now. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I edited this particular game, and I do get to hear the player audio when I edit these games, and if I remember correctly, that's what they're discussing right now. Yeah, Dread Scythe says deal 1 arcane damage to the defending hero, so you can't actually use that to fire at Polycranker. Maybe if Dread Scythe was released today, it might say deal 1 damage to any target, and in that case you would be able to do that. But it looks like the Dread Scythe is being swung at Polycranker, and the 2 arcane damage was going at Andrew Mason's face. So that's what we've established there. Kale just making sure to get that parrot out of the way as quickly as possible, because it can get a lot of value. And on a turn where Kale did defend effectively with things like Rootbound and that, obviously they had the ability to swing that Dread Scythe at the parrot, so why not just use that little bit of respite to deal with that pesky bird. And now we are seeing one of the golden cogs get destroyed, Tunic tick up and the copper cog tick down. As we go into Andrew's turn here for Team Turd, repping the Season 3 League That Means Nothing playmat, which is a lot of the participants from Season 3 got those. And we are going to see a seafloor salvage. So turn a yellow card in the graveyard face down and then get a gold token. So let's have a look to see. Got a couple of yellows in Kale's grave, a Pummel and a 9th Blade. Obviously this isn't banishing anything, it's turning a card face down. So just getting rid of that 9th Blade, and Andrew creates a gold and goes again from that action. Obviously Puffin can turn gold into golden cogs, which therefore fuels other synergies, of course. So a lovely booty token there, which you can get in the treasure packs. If you crack High Seas, you can get loads of this booty swag in there, which is always good. I've got an awesome Scurv treasure pack, which I posted on Twitter, which had a Gold Kiss rum and then a cold foil Not So Fast in it, and then in the box that it came in, I got a Scurv and another Not So Fast. So that was like the ultimate Scurv box. It was great. Yeah, so now it looks like we're going to be following up with a Zeppelin. Yep, a red Cogworks Zeppelin coming in here for 6. Pitching away a Soup Up blue. Coming in for 6. And obviously we can tap the cogs we control twice per turn to give this +1. So it could be simulating 8 damage. Sorry, 7 damage, because that's a gold out in the field there, and 1 copper cog. So we've got 1 source of cog. So this is essentially saying I'm going to be swinging 7 at you this turn. And obviously the great thing about this as well is when it hits, you can tap a cog you control and create a golden cog token. So it's either saying I'm attacking for 7 or I'm attacking for 6, and if you let me hit you, I'm going to be able to create another golden cog token, which then allows me to crank, get my action point back. So a lot of interesting utilization of Cogworks Zeppelin here. So Puffin's quite a tricky deck to play, to watch, and to cast. There's a lot of things you can do with it. A lot of different ways you can play around the cogs and the tricks that you can do twice and thrice per turn. But we are seeing a block of 7, 3 + 2 + 2. We are going to be triggering that Face Purgatory, because obviously we're defending with a 9th Blade and a Incantation. So we are going to be able to force the opponent to discard a card. Kale is going to be able to draw a card. So Andrew getting rid of a Golden Sky Warden, which is a nice little defensive tool. Kale drawing a card. It's looking like that will be a clean block on that. Just starving Andrew of that extra golden cog with the on hit, and making sure that no combat tricks can go over the top with that +1. And that sees Andrew draw up and pass over to Kale. 19 now playing 29. Arsenal has been established, 3 cards in hand from that Face Purgatory block. So it should see a nice little salvo being thrown back here, and we are going to be seeing a CNC pitching a truce, coming in 4/6 with a rune chant being made on the back end. So Kale just playing a little mid-range here, threatening again that arsenal that Andrew has established. CNC, just one of the best salvos that you can throw back after being a little bit defensive or having your hand stripped away on the previous turn. CNC, if you can fuel it with just 1 card, is just a great salvo to throw back. Soup Up being used for his defensive capabilities here, just cashing in that golden cog, which is going to be destroyed at the start of Andrew's turn anyway, to give this a +2 additional defense, and a block on the Cogworks Tinkerings, which is going to create a golden cog on the back end. So that's pretty good. Just making sure that we clean block the CNC, protect the arsenal, and get some value on the way here. So a lot of value was gained there from the Soup Up and the Cogworks Tinkerings, creating another golden cog to go into Andrew's next turn. So covering up that CNC there, quite an important block. Now we are going to see Kale just discard a Fruits of the Forest to go up to 21. Little bit of a life swing there. And Florian still yet to get the Decompose online. But we are getting there slowly. And that's where things are going to get a little bit more tricky for Andrew when Florian gets online. Kale doing well to weather the storm of these huge Zeppelins, and we are going to be seeing Puffin being used to convert that gold into a golden cog. And that looks like it's going to be cranked. And then we are going to see the gold wing turbine, which is going to create another golden cog. Which will be cranked, so we get the action point back, basically, because obviously this doesn't have go again. That will allow us to draw a card. Yep, so we draw a card, and obviously we've still got the action point to play with, because obviously we're cranking the one that comes into play off of the gold wing turbine. So we've still got our action point after this as well. I think I'm following that correctly. And now we come in with the Cogworks Zeppelin Red. We do need to pitch another card for this. Pitching another Cogworks Zeppelin Red. So again, this is the same one which we saw last turn. So again, twice per turn incident we can give it +1, and if it hits we untap all of our cogs. And again, this is coming in for 7 because of the Goldwing turbine played before it as well. Now, those golden cogs are going to be disappearing, so this basically says I'm going to be coming in for 9. Because you want to be utilising those golden cogs while they're still in play. This doesn't have go again though, so this is the last thing of the turn. And Puffin still able to come in with big dirigibles, big flying boats. And I love the polarity between the land and the sea. Sorry, the air and the sea in the set. Obviously we've got the necromancers in the depths of the ocean. Well, we've got everything, haven't we? We've got the necromancers in the depths of the ocean. We've got Marilyn on the ocean, the waves of the ocean, riding their ships and stuff. And then we've got Puffin in the skies. So we've got land, air and sea. Or air, sea and depths, I should say. That was a really weird tangent to go on, and I wasn't explaining myself very well whatsoever, so I do apologise. But still, coming in for 7. It's a big attack to deal with. And we are going to be giving it +2 with the double tap. So coming in for 9. We are going to see a root-bound carapace, nice shiny one. And a Fateful Scene, so nice effective blocks there to soak up a lot of that damage, and we are going to be able to decompose some more cards there, which should put Florian online now. Florian is online. We are just going to be resolving that Fateful Scene trigger. We are going to choose to put it to the bottom of the deck. It looks like we are just going to be taking 1 from this transaction. More importantly, Florian is now online. So we're just going to take the 1 damage. And then we are going to tap another cog. To create another cog. Through the Zeppelin ability, which is pretty good. I think I might have misspoke earlier. I think I said that it untaps the cogs if it hits, but that's the other one. That's the dovetail. Obviously, this one allows you to tap a cog you control to then create a golden cog. And obviously, that golden cog that Andrew's created is going to come in with just that 1 steam counter. Not going to be cranking that one. Doesn't make sense to crank it on your own turn unless you're doing other defensive things. Yeah, that's Andrew's turn. Over to Kale now, who is now online with Florian. Finally. We've got 4 3 cogs in play, which are going to disappear at the start of Andrew's turn, and then 1 golden cog, which is going to tick down by 1. So that one's going to hang around for 2 turns. Or 1 turn, I should say, before it leaves. Kale just thinking what we can do here. Looks like we're just going to be pitching into the Dread Scythe. Coming in for 1, 1 and 3. So 5 damage coming through on 3 different sources. Dread Scythe has had a rune chant behind it every time it's swung, I believe, this game. And that's really, really cool to imagine, isn't it? You know, you've generated this rune chant, Andrew's just going to be taking this damage to the face. And then, well, he's taking the arcane damage to the face and looking like a blocking with a golden Sky Warden. And obviously we're going to be able to destroy an item we control. And then it's going to replace itself, which is pretty cool. So obviously we're going to be able to pump up, destroy all of those cogs, and create 3 gold on the back end. May as well destroy them all, aren't we? Yeah. Let's go! Golden Sky Warden just being able to cash in all of those golds is an awesome interaction. Because obviously Puffin can convert those golds into more golden cogs. So Golden Sky Warden being deployed here as a defensive tool, just mopping up those last golden cogs, which are going to be gone at the start of Andrew's turn anyway, is an ultimate value play there. Getting 3 gold off of that and blocking for 5, that is really cool. Timed really, really well. And it's hard to time that, really, isn't it? It's just a bit of luck, really. You got a load of golden cogs stuck around, you draw into a Golden Sky Warden, which can then just cash them all in for gold, which is pretty good. Now we're seeing that golden cog steam counter come off as we go into Andrew's turn here. 3 gold to play with. A golden cog at the ready. We are going to be using Puffin's ability to remove a gold and create another golden cog token. So that is going to be cranked. And then we are seeing a backup protocol red being played, which is going to get cranked as well, which allows Andrew to draw a card. That's pretty cool. And obviously we still got our action point available. Obviously both of those items, both of those abilities I should say, don't have go again, so you need to crank them to carry on the turn. So we still have the action point left after the backup protocol red has been played. Obviously backup protocol red is what Andrew is considering now, being able to return a red mechanologist card from the graveyard to the hand. Now we can return that Palantir Aeronaut, so there is a unicycle play available to us this turn. Or we could go and get some soup ups to go wide, which is what Andrews put to the top of the deck here by the looks of it. We are going to be cracking the backup protocol red, pitching a golden Sky Warden to go and get a red card back, which is going to be that soup up. Looks like we just want to be going wide this turn. So that soup up returns to hand, and that soup up is being played here, which is pretty good. Coming in for 4 with go again, because obviously those items left at the start of the turn. Well, sorry, the gold was destroyed, wasn't it? Yeah, so the gold was destroyed, and the backup protocol red was destroyed. So just being able to get that trigger online with the soup up. So soup up just turning into a ridiculous value card overall. Every single soup up that's been played this game, and I'm going to mention it again, it was my spoiler card, has been great this game. And Kale just recognising this 0 for 4 go again as a bit of free damage. going down to 16 as 27 still plays into 16. We are going to just play out a Palantir Aeronaut. Alrighty then. We didn't need to recur one from the backup protocol because we already had one in hand. Very good. Now this is obviously simulating a unicycle play here as well, because obviously we've got the 2 cogs in play plus the unicycle which can untap them. So this is pretty nasty. Obviously this is demanding a piece of equipment from Kale as well, and Palantir of course having the ability, if it so desires, to blow up one of those equipments permanently. So very, very good card. Looks like we are going to be blocking with the bark skin of the Millennium Tree. And a truce. So we're going to be able to get 2 embodiments of Earth off of that because Florian is online. So that's going to buff up the truce to a 5 block. We are going to be seeing both of the cogs be tapped here to bring this up to 8. And now probably a unicycle play to bring it up to 9 and destroy a card. Yeah, that's what we're going to see here. The unicycle untapping one of those cogs to tap it again to bring it up to 9 and destroy one of those defending cards. Probably the truce, because that's blocking for a lot of value right now of the embodiments behind it. So that's going to take away 5 block on the truce if they get rid of that. Which is pretty good stuff. And obviously Barkskin only blocks for 2. So Kale currently blocking for 7. But if we destroy that truce, it means that we're going to be leaking 7. So that's pretty nasty. Yep, we are going to be able to blow up that truce. And now we're only blocking for 2 right now. I'm going to see a pummel as well. What? Holy moly. Wow. Wow, that is a ridiculous turn. Jeez. I didn't even see that. Didn't even see that pummel was available. We haven't seen any pummels be pitched or discarded or anything yet, so this really a punishing turn. Wow. Kale going down to 5, having to discard a card as well. That is disgusting from Andrew. Still going into the following turn with 2 gold as well, and two copper. Golden cogs. So if there's more soup up synergies, I think they've all been played now, haven't they? All the soup ups have been played now. But that was pretty vile. We are just going to see grasp of the Arc Knight, floating 1, creating a rune chant, creating 2 rune chants of course because of the Florian ability, and now just coming in with Amplify the Arc Knight, coming in with the 2 rune chants as well. So it's coming in for 8 in total. Andrew has a lot of life to play with right now. Could drop to 19, which is basically 4 times the life of Kale if he just chooses not even to respect this. Still has the tunic, still has the adaptive plating to use as additional block as well. And the adaptive plating could even be, well, that's the only source of arcane barrier, isn't it? So probably not then in that case. I was going to say the adaptive plating could even be cashed in now because he's got a lot of golden cogs that are going to disappear. So we could just galvanise those as well at the same time to get some more value on that. But obviously the adaptive plating is the only thing protecting him from the rune chants. Oh no, sorry, it's not adaptive plating, it's adaptive dissolver, right? That headpiece. Oh, yeah, it's arcane back. That's not adaptive playing, it's adaptive dissolver. Never mind, I'm talking trash. Luckily it means nothing. That's a dissolver in play, not a plating. Never mind. Never mind, but still staring down 8 damage. It looks like Andrew is just going to take it to the face, at least a rune chance anyway. Going down to 25, and then playing a Pinion Sentry. Not bad. Nice little block card. Obviously you can tap a golden cog you control to create another one. So it's just going to refresh itself, basically. One of those is going to stay around now. So I'm just going to create another one. Using a nice Team Turd sleeve there. Obviously that one is not going to be cranked, so that one's going to stick around. Blocking for 3, taking another additional 3. Going down to 22. As we go into Andrew's turn here, we're going to see 2 cogs leave the field. And 1 cog remaining afterwards, which of course is going to be a nice Marvel one there. Andrew still has 2 gold to play with as well, so can either fuel that into Puffin's ability or convert some blues into a resource floating and a card drawn. Gold still very, very pivotal to a lot of these heroes' abilities and synergies, but still can be used to dig if you need to, which is pretty good. Andrew not forgetting the counter on Tunic, of course, very, very important. And that's why I like the fact that I've created this league, because obviously it's webcam games, right? But you're still playing with your actual cards, which means that you have that muscle memory, that muscle trigger, muscle training almost to remember to do your Tunic. But we are going to see a backup protocol red being used to crank, and then we are going to see Puffin's ability being used to crank again, so we are going to be able to draw a card and just continue the turn here. All those actions do not have go again, which means you must use your crank to carry on. As Andrew decides what to come in with, looks like another Zeppelin of some description. Now he's going to pitch the Zeppelin to activate the backup protocol red. Looking like we're going to be getting that soup up again. It's just such a good value card, isn't it? Soup up again being grabbed from the backup protocols. Obviously 1 floating as well after this. And obviously this is coming in for the full value of 4 go again here. But the 1 floating after this could signify a Dovetail as well, because Dovetail only costs 1, which is really good. Yeah, and Kale just blocking with that plough under, taking 1, and it's a, oh, okay, Cloud Skiff, which is still pretty good, because we can give this go again or make it a 6, but it looks like we're probably just going to be coming in with a Spitfire after this, right? We tap a cog to give this go again, and then we tap a cog to come in for 2 with the Spitfire. That's probably what the line's going to be. Got a hair in my throat that I just can't get rid of. It's really annoying me. Jesus. But yeah, 5 at the moment. Kale just flashing how many cards they have in hand. And yeah, looks like we are going to be tapping one of the cogs to give it go again. And now he's still got 1 cog left over, which we can tap to fire in the Spitfire for 2 damage. Obviously the Arc Knight is only blocking for 2 on 5, so Kale is going to go down to 1, which is what they're just figuring out now. Capturing those live totals on board through the Fab Counter app. Make sure you download it, one of the sponsors of this league, so thank you very much for sponsoring the league. And then we are seeing the Spitfire come in for 2 damage on the end of this chain here, utilising all cogs as efficiently as possible there. Kale forced to block with the fruits of the forest, or gain 2 life. Either mode will do there. Exactly the same maths. Excuse me. But yeah, Andrew sitting quite high in the Sky Castle here. 22 against 1. 1 playing 22. Coming in with a defiant CNC. Coming in 4-6. Threatening the arsenal of Andrew that's just been established there. And again, if you're going to throw 1 card back at your opponent, CNC is normally the one that you want to hope for. Such a good card. Coming in for 6, threatening the arsenal, just curbing Andrew's turn a little bit if that arsenal gets destroyed. Looks like we are going to be blocking with the Pinion Sentry here, being able to just keep those cogs around for a little bit longer than they should be, utilising them on the defence here to tap a cog you control, which is going to disappear next turn, to create a golden cog with a steam counter on it, which you don't need to use for your crank. Is pretty good. Blocking for 3 as well. Nice little blue block 3 that just refreshes your engine. What more could you ask for in a Puffin deck? We can see how intricate this deck is, and it looks like we are blocking with the Cogworks Workshop as well here, which I think again is another blue block 3. Yep, so that is fully blocked. Just seeing that Pinion Sentry cog stick around now as those other 2 cogs leave. So we go into our turn with a cog, which, as we know, can be tapped to give a lot of things go again or additional power. We are seeing another backup protocol red being used here. Going to be cranking this to continue the plays. And of course we know what this could be. We know we could get back another soup up to go a little bit wider with some breakpoints. But we are going to be using that last gold, by the looks of it, gesturing over the Puffin use ability here to maybe get another golden cog into play, crank it and get the action point, and get the draw a card, more importantly. Because again, the Puffin ability itself does not have go again, so you need to use your cranked action point to just carry on the turn. So we are just going to basically be drawing a card here and carrying on the turn. So destroying that gold, replacing it with a golden cog, cranking it, drawing a card and carrying on with the turn. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Andrew still threatening to go quite wide on this turn. That backup protocol red can turn into an easy go again attack with the soup up, followed up by whatever is lurking in the rest of the hand in the arsenal. Spitfire again is still something that can come in as well if needed, which is, at this point, a gunshot is death for Kale. It looks like we are going to be playing a Cogworks Workshop, which is going to create a golden cog token. Okay. We need to crank this one as well to carry on the turn. So is this a bit of a dodgy hand for Andrew Mason in this late game? We still have the backup protocol red able to be used though, which is probably what we're going to be using now. Yep, so we are going to be getting a red card back to hand, which is probably going to be... Looks like Andrew ticked up the tunic there as well, which is something that need to remember to do. But we do have 3 cogs in play now. So the Palantir Aeronaut is actually online, which is pretty good. But we are going to be getting the soup up. So just choosing to potentially just throw as many breakpoints as possible. Rather than one big attack, just throw as many breakpoints as possible. This, of course, coming in for 4 with Go Again. Soup Up just been an absolute house in this game. And we are seeing a route bound. Luckily able to cover this 4 breakpoint with just 1 card is very, very pivotal in these late stages in the game when Kale is hanging on to dear life with that one hit point left. 1 life left. We are seeing that Spitfire just being utilised here to tap both cogs to come in for 3. Looked like a little bit of a clunkier hand there for Andrew, but still managing to at least demand 2 cards from the hand that Andrew was presented with there, at least. Still being able to demand at least 2 cards there, one obviously being a nice defensive tool in the root-bound carapace, and now asking Kale the question again is, give me another card. In this case it's going to be a sigil, which basically keeps the life the same. Yeah, so game 3, lose 3, and then it's over to Kale. 1 playing 22, still in this game, still being as defiant as possible in these late stages. It looks like a Malefic is going to hang over the board here. Yeah, you are going to see a Malefic incantation be played. Comes in with 3 counters. Is there a follow-up to this? We have seen Kale swing that Dread Scythe a few times, but it looks like there is going to be a different play here. As we hover over the arsenal. It's going to be another 3 life gained. Alright. Yeah, so that's going to go up to 4. And then we're just going to Arsenal pass. Alright. Okay. Maybe setup is what's needed to try and get back into this game, as one of those cogs disappears and 2 of the steam counters come off. So Andrew going into this turn with 2 cogs available. And as we know, those cogs can be utilised in a variety of different ways. We are seeing the copper cog come in as well, so we do have that thrice per turn available to us now through these cogs, and it looks like that one is going to be cranked as well to carry on the turn, of course. Copper cog, importantly, coming in with 2 steam counters rather than 1, and then we are going to see the Goldwing turbine be played, which is going to create a golden cog, which needs to be cranked in order to carry on the turn. Yep, so that's going to be cranked to carry on the turn. And the next Mechanologist attack is going to get +3, which is pretty good. Obviously we crank twice, which means we draw a card from Puffin. Forecast for Piper's Pier. Cloudy with a chance of falling debris. Nice little flavour text on Goldwing Turbine there. And now we're seeing a soup up blue. Alright, coming in for 5 with Go Again. So, because of that Goldwing Turbine, really just pushing over these breakpoints. Coming in for 5 with Go Again on this blue soup up. Even the blue soup ups are getting some ridiculous value in this game, of course. More of a pitch and defensive tool in the blue version. But still, with this Goldwing Turbine behind it, this motorbike is zooming into Kale's face here as we block with a bark skin of the Millennium Tree. So that's going to block 1 at the moment, with a Cadaverous Tilling as well. Getting those embodiments of Earth. Fortunately, not giving the defense to the tilling because it's non-attack action cards. So only blocking 3 on 5, taking 2, and now we're seeing a Sky Skimmer come in. This is coming in for 4, and this is dangerous. We've still got a Spitfire after this as well, haven't we? If we tap a cog to give this go again, we can still come in with the Spitfire for 3, right? So this is stripping the entire hand now. Luckily, Kale does have the Fate Foreseen to cover the full 4 here. We are seeing Andrew tap one of those cogs to potentially give this go again. Because we can still use the Spitfire this turn, tapping both of those cogs to come in for 3 on the end of this chain here. There's still 1 card in hand, but it makes sense just to chuck the weapon while we can and save that last card to overextend even further on the follow-up, as Kale has to block with the entire hand to not go down, and the equipment to not go down to 1. So the defiance of Kale Brenzy is unheard of in the Lands of Wraith as we battle to the very end here. Still keeping a 2-card hand as well for the follow-up. There is still a salvo in Kale to throw back at Andrew after this. I'm just seeing the remembrance being played from Andrew here. So that's what the last card was in hand. Looks like we are just going to be getting a backup protocol red. Obviously, copper cog. Just searching for additional cranks, I imagine. Bit of recursion, additional cranks. Keeping those cogs around longer through the copper cog. Yeah, so we're just getting some recursion and some cranks, and the copper cog, because obviously it stays around longer than a golden cog, and obviously the cogs will fuel your other cards' abilities, so that makes sense. And obviously they're shuffled back into the deck as we carry on here. The chain is going to close. Barkskin goes to the graveyard. The only piece of equipment left is Grasp of the Arclight, which still has its ability online, but can't block any further now. And Kale still does have something to say on their turn. 1 card in hand, 1 in arsenal. There is still potentially something here on this turn for Andrew to deal with. The life gap is still quite large. The defiance is something to write home about. We are going to be creating a rune chant. 2 rune chants, I should say. And that is it, unfortunately. Nothing to present to Andrew, as 22 now plays 2 as these cogs leave the arena. And the copper 1 ticks down. 22 playing 2, starting off with a cloud skiff coming in for 5, threatening 6 or go again. 2 floating, most likely go again, but you never know. So 5. Reduce to rune chant coming in here, which obviously it costs nothing because Kale does have rune chants in play, and obviously this is going to create 2 rune chants on the back end, which is pretty good. We are going to be giving it go again, so Kale is going to be taking 1, going down to 1 life here. Andrew following up with a Cogworks Zeppelin Blue, coming in for 4, Still presenting that break point that is now worth 2 cards unless Kale has more D-reacts. Sadly, no cogs can be tapped here to give this +1. There is no cogs left in play, but still demanding 2 cards nonetheless. 1 card in hand. It looks like it is just going to be an Arsenal situation. Don't think there's any lunging presses in this deck. So yeah, blocking with the felling and the fruits of the forest. And yet Andrew is just going to be happy with that. An Arsenal card for the potential overextension to win on the next turn, as Kale is just forced into a bit of a felling is a good salvo to throw. Is a good salvo to throw with the 4 rune chants behind it, creating 2 rune chants on the back end. Just feels like these sorts of plays have just been missing the entire game, unfortunately. That's the first felling we've seen, right? That is the first felling we've seen played. And what a felling it is as well, with 4 rune chants behind it. Forcing Andrew to put a card on the bottom of his deck as well. It's a big salvo to deal with. But at this point, does Andrew even care about this damage? He can take 12 and go to 10. He's putting a card on the bottom of his deck from the felling trigger, but at this point we are just going to take the 10. Sorry, we are just going to take the 12 and drop to 10. Andrew just using that life lead as a buffer on a turn like that is pivotal. Andrew still has the ability to play 4 cards this turn, 3 in hand, 1 in arsenal, as we're just looking for that 1 point to go over the top. We are going to see a cog in the machine. Okay, so we're not going to be able to put this back on the bottom of the deck. We don't have any cogs available to... Oh no, we can use one of these cogs that we generate, can't we? We are going to be cranking them both, I imagine, to draw a card. But we probably don't want to be... using the cycling effect here. No, because we need the cogs to do extra things on our other cards, right? So Puffin's going to draw a card, and obviously we've got 2 action points to play with here after the fact, which is pretty good. Starting off with a dovetail is pretty strong, coming in for 5. Pseudo go again, because we have an action point after this. That's pretty nasty. Obviously we can make this a 7 as well. Action point floating, which is pretty good, and obviously if it hits we can untap all of our cogs as well, which might allow us to go even further over the top with additional buffs on another following attack after this. If not, we can Spitfire as well still with the cogs available. So we'll see what Andrew has, but he still does have an action point after this dovetail, and Kale does have to respect 7, right? So he's blocking 4 right now, which means that there must be a D-react. We're going to gain 2 life, and then Take 1. Gain 2 life, take 1. Summers 4 blocks for 2, doesn't it? If I remember correctly. Okay, so we're still in reactions. Going to pump it to 6. So blocking 4, taking, going down to 1 again. Yep, and obviously we still have the action point after this as well. The cogs are going to untap due to the on-hit effect. Andrew still has the action point to play with. Just has to get over 3 or 4 block here. 1 card in hand. It's going to be a 3 or a 4. Looks like we're coming in for 3. So it looks like we can't... Looks like we can't get over. Unless this is a 2 block. That's a fate foreseen. Alright. Kale is still alive. We had to get over 4 there to win the game. We could only present 3, but then we've still got... Hey? Do we still have another action point there? Is the Spitfire go again? Maybe I've missed something there. Well, that's the game. Apparently. Maybe I missed something there, but congratulations to Andrew. He was in the driving seat the whole time. Great to see what Puffin can do in a constructed game. It was quite hard to follow, so leave a comment in the section below if things might have been missed or whatever. But it's just nice to see some of these new heroes. Well, I say new now, it's been a month or so since High Seas already. See how these new heroes play out, really, really good. And it's nice to see that Andrew, being a mechanologist player for the longest time, has now found a new love in Puffin, and Kale still repping the Rune Blades as always. It's great to commentate on these games of people I know in the scene for so long. And commiserations to Kale. Didn't really get to see a lot of those power plays, unfortunately. The Felling and the Crowns and stuff, only got that 1 the entire game, which when it did come in, it was coming in hard. But until next time, here on The League That Means Nothing, we'll see you still all over again very, very soon for the round 3s that will be coming next, because this is the last game of round 2. So round 3 is going to be coming in very, very shortly. But I'm sure you're probably not going to be watching all these right now because of the Pro Tour Singapore that's happening. So when I'm recording this game, Pro Tour Singapore hasn't kicked off yet. But going to be interesting to see what hero takes that down. What are your predictions for that? Leave a comment in the section below, and we'll see you very, very soon. Goodbye!